Okay, thank you so much for joining. This is Exploratory Online Seminar number 73, How to Use Exploratory Series. We started a few weeks ago, and this is the last episode of this series, part 4, Dashboard and Note. Before getting started, let me introduce myself. My name is Kan Nishida, CEO at Exploratory. Exploratory is a company we started in 2016 spring to democratize data science. Mainly, we do two things. One is to build Exploratory as a data science tool to make it easy to access various types of data science methods and technologies. Second is to provide the training and the seminars, something like this, to share our knowledge and experience. Okay. So our vision is everybody should be able to make data-informed decisions. And in order to do it, we want to democratize data science so that anybody can access data science or use data science methods. So when we say the data science, we think of it this way. So we start with business questions, and then you want to access the data. Then you want to do the data wrangling, which is basically the cleaning up the data, transforming the data so that you can visualize or analyze the data. So the visualization, analytics are all important part of this sort of like workflow. And then finally, like as you find some useful insights you want to share with other folks, like stakeholders and chief mates and so on. So the communication piece is also very important. So we think these are 5 things: data access, data wrangling, visualization, analytics, and communication. These 5 things are the most important pillars of this data science, any data science projects. Exploratory make it easy to do these things through modern and simple UI. Okay, so that's enough about Exploratory and us. Let's get started the main online seminar. So Exploratory online seminar number 73, How to Use Exploratory Series, and part 4, Dashboard and Note. So we started this How to Use Exploratory Series a few weeks ago. So we finished part 1, 2, 3, talking about walking through the visualization, data wrangling, and the analytics as well. And then today is the last part of this How to Use Exploratory Series, which is focusing on the communication piece. The communication is nothing but you want to share whatever the insights you have found through visualization, analytics, and data wrangling. But technically, what we mean is in the exploratory feature-wise, you focusing on the note and the dashboard. So therefore, I'd like to touch on these 4 topics today. So number 1, creating notes. Number 2, creating dashboards. Basically, these are the 2 things. And as long as we can get these 2 down, that's good to go for this particular seminar. But also I like to add 2 additional things, which is adding parameter, using the parameters, which is very like makes your notes and dashboard more interactive. And also you can actually publish and then share or schedule to automate notes and dashboard creations. So those are the things also like I like to touch on. Okay, so let's start with notes. So creating notes. Okay, so something like this, a note is, think of it as more like just a report, right? So like you want to have chart, but also like you want to add your comments or like, description of like what you have found, what do you think, and that type of things. Maybe like you can use a word like a storytelling. So you want to create a story along with the charts, along with the insights you found through like your data analysis and the visualization. Okay, so you can actually create notes in Exploratory. Main thing is obviously you want to add charts, and then like you can have the charts kind of like dynamic, right? Every time like you generate a note, the chart is up to date. So this is slightly different from like a cutting copy and paste the chart image, which you can do that too, but you can drop the dynamic chart or like a sort of like a real-time chart. And another thing is you can format the text. So you want to add the descriptions or, you want to explain what this, findings, and then you can actually do the formatting on top of the text. And then you can add images to enrich your report. And then last not least, automatically. This one is automatic. You don't really have to create, but automatically generate a table of contents. So I want to introduce that as well. So before getting into this seminar is going to be like really sort of a real-time demo. But before getting into it, like I would just want to give you like a basic concept. So this is a note editor, and the left-hand side, literally, that's the editing area. So you want to write things, and then you see like some kind of weird symbols, but you are going to get to understand through this seminar, okay? But it's the left-hand side, you can format, you add text, you add a chart, and so on. Right-hand side is the preview window. So like every time like you write, and then if you're ready, you can click on the run button, and you will see sort of like a generated output of what you're writing. And when you do the editing, you can use something called Markdown format. Markdown is actually really useful once you get used to it. The first time you use it, you kind of get confused, but once you get used to it. Why I like it? Because you actually don't need to click the buttons and that kind of stuff. And even though you can start with that way, but once you get used to it, like you can just type, letters, and then you can actually use the letters to format like H1, H2 header, or a bullet point, or even like URL link and so on. Like everything is based on the keyboard. So you can write things in very fast, very quick way. I'm going to introduce that, walk you through a little bit. If you're not sure, you always have this shortcut key. If you click on it, you see right-hand side, hey, these are the kind of shortcut key to format the text. So that's actually also is very useful. Okay, so let's get to the note. What I'm going to do is go to the exploratory. But before getting into, so I have this data frame called opportunity. Like I'm sourcing this data from Salesforce. I can source from the database or CSV or whatever the various data sources. But then I have done the data wrangling right-hand side to just kind of shape up that data. And also I created a bunch of charts. Okay, so for example, this chart is pinned to like step 5. So that means this chart is coming from the data after doing all this data transformation. Okay. And then in some chart is not, some chart, this, for example, this chart is coming from the step 4 instead of step 5. So like some of the charts coming from the step 3 or 4 or 5, it depends on each chart. But anyway, the point is I've created those things. And also, another thing is like I have created this thing called number. This one is particularly, it's not much. Sometimes I use it, some users use it, but mainly for dashboard as a KPI or metrics. But I have already created that type of contents as well. Okay, so now I have created enough, and now it's time for me to create a report. So here is a report section. And when you click on plus, there is a dashboard and then also note. These are two things. So let's start with note. So this one, let's say like a sales report. Oops. Create that sales report. And this one is, oops. This one is, oh, you know what? Actually, there's some kind of weird issue we have found. So let me just quickly close this off. Let me restart this. Where it goes. So it's the current release of the exploratory. There was some kind of a glitch which actually brings kind of a weird mode on Note when you mixing, switching between dashboard and Note. So we are working on the fix right now. So you're not going to have to deal with this what I'm doing right now. But anyway, so let me just open this project. Okay, so left-hand side again. So I have there's a report section, and then you can create a new report. So like sales report Q2, and I've created a report, and Here it is. So like I said, the left-hand side is the editing area, right-hand side is the preview area. So what that means, I'm gonna just copy and paste. I don't want you guys to see like, waiting for while I'm typing. So let's say like I started something like this. Sales report for Q2 2022. So this is sort of like a kind of main, report header title or something. And I have described a little bit. And then I have listed these things so that because these are the 5 areas that I want to talk about in this report. So typically, like I want to use some kind of bullet points or something like that. Okay. And also the last section is like, hey, like I've created a dashboard to, share same set of contents, but in just a different format or something. So now you, at this point, I can first thing first, I can add the chart. Let's see like, the chart we were looking at previously here. So if I, for example, go back to the opportunity, let's say this is like expected revenue. I want to import this into the node. One thing though, here, like you notice like the right-hand side top, there's a green icon, like it's a kind of like a comment icon. So when you click on it, and then you can edit or you can add the your comment for each chart. And if you add a comment, not only you can see the comment in this type of the pop-up, but also when you import this chart into the node, the comment will be imported together. So what I mean by that is here is a chart button in the toolbar. When I click on the chart, and then what you want to do is you want to find the data frame where you created the chart. And here it is. And I'm going to insert that chart. And then now the chart name has been already inserted. And then, as you see here is like a pound sign. When you have one single pound sign, that makes it H1 header. If I have 2 pound, then that makes it H2 header. So by default, the chart name becomes the header or the H1 header. And then this is the chart comment and becomes the text or the description. And here is kind of like a cryptic thing right here is that's that sort of like, if you will, the URL or a kind of a pointer to the chart. What that means, like the first one, this is a data frame name, and then under the viz, there's this chart or something. So you never really edit this particular piece right here, but automatically will be pasted it when you click on this chart button and then import the chart. Okay, so now like we have the chart, and I'm going to click on Run button, or if you're on the Mac, like, I don't know what. Oh yeah, this is a Command R, or if you're in Windows, Control R. Either way, right-hand side, like you can see that how this node will look like as a generated output. Okay. So now now it's time to start kind of make it better, nicer by formatting. So we learned that single pound makes it the header 1, right? But if you don't know, this is like Markdown. So this is why, like I said, like Markdown is pretty cool because you don't have to click the buttons or anything like that. All you need to do is just like a pound, type the pound, and then that makes it H1. So once you get used to it, it's cool. But the problem is when you're starting out, like you have no idea what the Markdown is. So in that case, what you want to do is like, hey, you know what? I want to format this part, and this is like an H bottom. This will make it H1. If you click one more, make it H2, H3, H4, and so on. Okay. And then so it toggles back and forth. Okay. And then now like I have the H1, that's cool. And then another thing I want to do is, you know what, how about like this one, these 5 things, I want to make it bullet points. Again, if you know Markdown, like what you do is like either type this what do you call this symbol? I forgot the English name for this one, but like a dash or something, or you can actually type asterisk. Okay, and then once you type it, then like if you click on the enter key, it automatically continue that bullet points until you hit twice on the enter, then it will stop. I keep adding this thing. And here, so like for example, I can start start adding this text as well. Or again, if you're not familiar with this Markdown, then like all you need to do is just select all of them where you want to make it valid, and then select either number-based valid or a point-based valid. Okay, so if I'm gonna click this, then now like I have these 5 valid points. Okay, so if I click on run button right-hand side, and then now like I have the header one and then the valid points. Okay, and the next thing I want to do is, hey, you know what? I have created the dashboard, blah, blah, blah. I want to make this dashboard text to be URL link to which dashboard I'm talking about. Well, I created a dashboard already published beforehand. So this is a dashboard. I want to link to it. So I'm going to just copy and paste the URL and going back to Node editor. And then from here, if you're not familiar, then you can actually use this link, this button, okay, and create link button. Or if you know, if you're familiar with it, what I would do personally, use a shortcut. So like a Command K, and then that makes it the dashboard, the text bar surrounded by the square bracket. And then this like a curly bracket, not curly bracket, what do you call it? A curved bracket inside the HTTP. This is where I can just copy and paste that URL. Okay. Then now, like what happened, like if I click on run button, I have this like a URL link that will open that same, this page. Okay. Then again, hey, you know what? Like it looks like a shortcut is cool, but I have no idea what are the shortcut keys. Then you want to click on this button. This is a keyboard shortcut button. And then this shows you like all the shortcut that you can actually use. Okay, it's very convenient once you get used to it. But even if you don't know, these header buttons will help you. Okay, so now that's cool. Like I'm gonna, I can keep adding more chart. For example, I'm gonna just add this chart by stage, and click OK, and then click run button. Okay, and then once you get used to it, so like you start typing left hand side, and then once you're ready and you want to see like how it looks, and then always like you just click on run button and make sure the report looks the way like you sort of like intended to. So now, one thing I noticed here is like this chart is kind of like compressed. Like it's like there are a bunch of bars, and then but all the text is kind of like a small. So can I make this chart sort of like longer? Sometimes happen. Here's a button to expand. So if I click on the expand button, the chart looks like this, right? And then this is much easier to see instead of like a kind of compacted. So can I show this chart is sort of like a bigger area instead of like a fixed size area? This happens vertically, but sometimes also like a horizontally as well. So to do here, there's a exploratory, this like a syntax, and it says width and height. And there's a normal as a default. You can actually make it like a full. So this option is just a normal or full. These are two options. And if I set full, what's going to happen is and then click on run button, and then now the chart becomes longer. So chart is instead of like squeezing into the fixed area, we let chart decide how much area you need. And this is useful, especially like when you have like let's say a pivot table or something, or some kind of table that takes a long sort of space. It requires a long space or long height. Then you can make it full. Sometimes you might want to do is like, no, the full is actually too long, then you want to control it. And you can type like, for example, ratio, like 80% and that kind of stuff as well. The detail, you can find it under the document and the question button. This will open Node help page as well. Okay, so now it looks good. And then I think that's pretty much it. And at this point, what you want to do is you can either publish to our server in a private mode so that nobody can see unless you invite them explicitly, or you can just publish in the public mode. And or you can open a web browser, you can export as HTML document or Word document and so on. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And then now at this point, you know what, like I want to see like how the report really is going to look like. And this is how it's going to be look like. Okay, without even publishing, you can see how that is going to look like. And the cool thing is the left-hand side, you notice here is as long as you have the H1 or H2, header 1, header 2, you remember like I created this pound 1 or single pound, or maybe like a double pounds. This will automatically create table contents left-hand side. And when you have like 2 or 3 charts, it probably doesn't matter. But when you have like a lot of sections and charts, and then you might want to have, this is like a kind of a, what do you call it, like a jump to a particular thing. So what I mean by that, like if I click on by stage, and it will move to the anchored area. Okay, so when you have like a long report, this might be helpful, or not helpful. Like when you have this and like, hey, it's kind of like especially when you have like only one header, and then like you have this table content, it doesn't really make sense. It's not even useful. In that case, you can actually disable it. So by clicking on this gear icon, right-hand side top, and then here's the table content setting. So you uncheck the include table contents, then this one is not going to generate that table contents. Okay, and then this is the depth of the header. So the default is 3. So that means when you have the single pound, the second pound, a double pound, a triple pound, that means header 1, 2, 3. Then all those will be in the table contents in a hierarchical manner. If you don't want to do like H3 included, then you can do, you can set here that's a 2 or something. Okay. So that's about it for, oh, one thing I almost forgot. This is actually pretty important. Sometimes when you have this kind of report, you want to include the images, right? So in that case, I do this often, is that like here, like, you know what, like I want to include the image. Here's the image icon, and then this is one way to import image. And then, this will open the chart import dialog. And then you can just find the chart and import. But what I do is much sort of like a easy way. So how I'm gonna do it is like find the image. So let's say, you know what, like I have this image, I already created it. And then I'm gonna just drag and drop and then click run button, and then that's it. Or you don't have to drag and drop if you have like, the window is somewhere super far. In that case, all you need to do is just copy and Command C or whatever to copy, and here and just paste it. And then that will automatically generate whatever the URL it requires for the Markdown. So you never really have to worry about this URL creation or something like that. It's just drag and drop or copy and paste, either way. And then you have that image in your node. Okay. So that's pretty much it for the node. And the next one, let's move on to the dashboard. Okay, so creating dashboard. So something like this, right? So like typically like you have a bunch of different things, but really the main thing for the dashboard is to share a set of charts with others in a sort of like single page or double page or whatever, but it's more like a kind of summarized snapshot, right? So in Explorator, you can bring in numbers, you can type text in the dashboard, or you can import charts, or you can import analytics, right? So a chart in an Exploratory chart view, analytics view, whatever that could be, you just create some contents and you can bring them in. And that's dashboard. And then main thing is we have the 2 types of layouts. One is a row layout, and the other one is a column layout. These 2 layout types is sort of like pros and cons, or good thing, different type of usages. So I'm gonna go walk you through after this. And then remember, each area you can use the drag and drop to adjust the height or width. So it's pretty flexible. And then you can add pages. So, like when you have a bunch of charts, and if you try to bring in all those charts in one page, it gets super crummy. So you can create pages and then organize a set of charts in multiple among pages. And also another thing is like very typical in a dashboard is that like at the top area, like you want to have metrics or KPI. Let's say like a number of the customers or sales or number of orders and so on. And then in that case, you can insert those. And then there's a special section that's designed for that is for this type of the numbers. And I'm going to go through that in demo. Okay, so that's that's the kind of thing in the dashboard. So I want to quickly show you how would you go about it. So again, click on plus button, and then this time click on dashboard. And this one is a sales dashboard. And it will open the dashboard window. Okay, so that's here. And then what I want to do is here is like first, like typically, like you want to start adding a chart. So I'm going to add the chart. Again, the same thing as a note, like you want to select the data frame, and then you want to add the chart. And then like now like I have one chart in a very big size, and then like I can click on run button to see how it looks like. This is a thumbnail image, so it's kind of blurred. It's not going to be this bad when you go to the runtime. But I want to add a couple charts before going to run preview mode. Okay, so to do everything is basically like you want to add charts or text or numbers. Always go to this add button, and then I can select the add chart. Okay, so now I'm going to add this pie chart or a donut chart. And I want to actually add more charts underneath, not like keep adding to the right-hand side. I want to add the charts underneath of these charts. Then what you can do is click on the add button. So top section here is you want to add a chart or number or text, but the bottom section here is a layout, something to do with the layout. So let's say like I want to add a row below, and then what happens is here's another section being created. Then I can start adding the charts, right? So like, for example, you know what, like I want to add this error bar chart, and then like maybe I want to add another chart. Again, like I go back to the add button, and this time again going back to like add chart menu, and then like I want to add this like pivot table and so on. Okay, and then maybe I can add another chart here. This by stage, same chart that we saw already. Okay, and if I want to change the position of it, like I can do the drag and drop. I can swap, top area to up. Above area, and I can change this width. And sometimes happen is like, for example, at the bottom, like I have 3 charts. You know what, like it looks like the width is kind of like not equal. And then like sometimes that's, what you want. Or sometimes I want to actually make this width to be exact the same among these 3 charts. Then in that case, I select this section. Now section is highlighted, that down bottom section. And then here's the distribute button. And then I can select this distribute width equally, and then like make it like basically 33%, 33%, 33% to make it equal. Okay. So now it looks good. And then like, I can click on run button and see like what the dashboard look like. And it looks okay. And then in that case, I'm going to go back to the edit window, and then I can start adding more or do something else. So at this point though, like I want to do next one, I want to add the numbers. So here there's a number. So if I say like add number, and then you know what, here like I have a number of active opportunities, like 13 or something like that. I want to add this one. And if I do it, like I insert into the regular chart area, maybe like I'm going to bring it to top, maybe this section. And then at this point, if I click on run button, what's going to happen is this number is going to be shown in the chart area. And sometimes this is okay, but sometimes in this particular case, I like to have these numbers at the top, sort of like kind of a metrics area. Okay, so how you do it in that case, go back to the edit, and then instead of adding the add row above, you can actually do it that way too, but there is something called number section that's specifically designed for showing those numbers. So I'm going to select this number rows, and then first of all, like I'm going to just move this one to the number rows. And then this number rows, what's so unique about it is this is a fixed height. So no matter what the size of the window you open this dashboard, it's always it fixes it. It shows this number in this fixed area. However, this chart section, this area and then the bottom area, this is flexible. So that when you open a bigger size window, these charts can be expanded to fill the space. It's always a kind of try to make it 100% width. But this number area is not going to be expanded. And then that's the key thing is because this number area, like you don't want to keep like becoming bigger because there's not so much information even like when you expand that area. So that's the difference. If you want number area to be also expanded to fill the space when you open in a bigger screen, in that case, instead of like using this number row, instead like you want to use a regular row, regular chart row, and then like you can import those numbers as well. Okay. But anyway, so if you use this number area, then I can start adding the numbers. So like I want to add maybe 2 more. Oops, what did I do? And then I'm going to add a number here. And do I have one more? Okay, cool. And then I have 3 numbers. Again, you can actually adjust the size, or you can use a distribute to equal width either way. And then if I go click run button, and then I have the numbers at the top and then the charts at the bottom. Okay. So now the next thing I like to do is I want to add the comments about this dashboard. I want to type in some of the text. So in that case, you know what, like where should I, maybe like I can add text in this section. And then click add button and add text. This will add the text area at the very right-hand side. And then I can move between by drag and drop, but in this case, I'm gonna keep as is. And click on this edit text button, and then this opens sort of a text editor here. And then like I have again be created beforehand. And again, this one is already Markdown formatted. So you can use, as you saw in the note demo, you can use the Markdown to format this thing. And then once I enter the text and then title, and I click on update, and this is already kind of preview mode. So like this is how it's gonna look. And then again, click on run button. Now I have a bunch of charts, numbers, and the comment. Okay, so now there's one problem. This chart, we have seen this chart needs a sort of like a long, sort of vertically long space because there are a bunch of, I don't know, companies. Those needs to be shown instead of like a kind of compact together. Although like you can click on this expand button to show the chart in a bigger space, but I don't want to, every time I open a dashboard, I don't want to keep clicking this button, right? So go back to the edit. That's where you might want to consider using the layouts of column mode. So right now, like we are using the row mode. That means every time like you want to add the charts, it's sort of like you add the row section first, and then you start adding the charts in that section, right? The column layout is basically you start adding a column section, then you start adding the charts. What I mean by that. So let's say here your rows, I'm gonna demonstrate, in order to demonstrate, I'm gonna just duplicate this page, okay? And then I just created this next page, this called it, I'm gonna rename it, just a column layout page or something. And then I'm gonna switch to the layout to the column. So now I have these 3 charts are in the column on the left-hand side. Another 3 charts are in the column on the right-hand side. Number section doesn't get affected. Number is not going to be all the side in the column. If you want to show the numbers in the column, again, you can actually add this, here. You can add the column, for example, left-hand side or right-hand side. Then you start adding those numbers too. But then remember, the width of number area is going to be flexible based on the window size. But nonetheless, so now like I want to actually, what I wanted to do is make this particular chart to have its own section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the add column section left. So now I have this particular area and I'm going to just adjust it a little bit. And then I'm going to move this chart into this newly created section. And then like I want to make sure like these areas, so the left-hand side column, middle column, right-hand side column to be the same width. I can use this distribute button, distribute width evenly. So now supposedly this is 33%, 33%, 33%. Okay. So now in this case, I'm expecting, I'm going to just move this text thing at the top. Maybe I'm going to swap this a little bit like that. And then maybe like, all the text can be displayed without scrolling. Okay, looks good. And then click on Run button. And then like I have this dashboard created. I have the text, numbers, and then this is a column layout. So this kind of chart that requires like a long height can fit nicely, relative to other charts that don't need that kind of long height. Okay. And then at this point, if I'm cool with it, then I can publish and so on. But here, like, as you notice, I have 2 pages. In this case, I have exact same content, which you're not going to do it. You're going to have like a different set of charts, and you can bring on like charts from different data frames. But you can start adding the charts to organize set of charts. Okay, and then one thing though here is that when you're seeing here, like let's say like the next day you come, and then if assuming this data is coming from like database or Salesforce or whatever the cloud services or something, okay, and then you want to see the latest data on this one, right? You don't want to see the yesterday's data or week before data, and then you actually can re-import the data directly from the dashboard instead of like going to the data frame and then re-import it. Okay, so that case, like you check on this button and then click Run button, and then this will go all the way back to the source data of each data frame for each chart, and then see resource it from the data. Let's say like if it's a database, re-query. If it's a Google spreadsheet, re-query, get that data, and then data goes through whatever the data wrangling step. For example, in this case, the opportunity has 5 steps. But it's not necessary if this step has 10 steps, it doesn't go all the 10 steps because whatever the steps required to generate these charts. So if these charts, all those charts requires only like 3 steps or 4 steps, and then just run through all those data wrangling 4 steps and then generate the charts. Okay. So that's one thing. So like re-import. Okay, and another thing is the next, which is the next topic. What happens typically is this kind of dashboard. You want to have parameters so that when you share with others, other people can interact with the dashboard, right? So in that case, in Exploratory, there is something called parameter. So the left-hand side here, there's a parameter button, and when you click it, this is the dialog where you can create the parameters. Okay, so let me show you a couple of things. Here, this particular chart, it's actually using parameters. What do you mean? Well, you click on this like right-hand side top parameter button. This opens the parameter pane. Okay, and inside the parameter, so okay, for example, let's see, like I want to see the opportunity type of, let's say, like new customers, and the amount range is greater than particular threshold, and I click Run button, and this will change the this chart, right? Because it change the data displayed in this chart. And what happened is all these things, for example, here, let's see. When I click on this particular filter token, and this one is amount is between this range, and it is using a parameter. Okay, and then for example here the type, and that's the opportunity type. So type is in this particular parameter. Okay, so what that means is that, for example, if I click on the parameter, show the parameter pane, click on the setup, or I click on this gear icon for the opportunity type, this opens the same parameter dialog, except the opportunity type parameter has already been selected. So I have pre-configured this parameter and then define these are the values. And that's why these values, these three values being displayed. And then this parameter is being used in the filter. That's why this chart is pinned to this filter step. That's why like now it's a filtered data being shown. And that means I have this particular chart right here. That chart gets impacted or affected by the filter, which is using the parameter, right? So that case, when you bring in those charts, whatever the charts that have the dependency on those parameters, that case, it will bring in the parameters all together. So what that means, when you have this dashboard and then right-hand side top, there's a parameter bottom. If I click on it, it shows all the parameters necessary to generate these charts. So let's imagine, for example, this particular chart, like expected revenue, requires amount range parameter because it is referencing to the step 4. And then this stage pie chart is requiring another parameter. Let's say the probability because it is referring like step 5 or something. And all those parameters accumulated way will be accumulated but unique way and being displayed on the right-hand side. Okay, so now from here, I can actually manipulate, let's say opportunity type is like, okay, let's do like new customers and see what's gonna happen. Then what happens is this opportunity type is being updated by the parameters. So any chart, depending on the step 5, will show the different data at this point. Okay. And then now, like, what happened? Like, you know what? Like, I want to have this only this particular chart to. I want to manipulate the data, not all the charts. So in that case, instead of making the step to be parameterized, you can actually create the filter at the chart level and then make that filter to be parameterized. So what that mean by that is I'm going to go to a particular chart. The chart requires like a long space, right? So I'm going to create a filter here, okay? And then I want to see like how that parameter to be included in the dashboard. Okay, so I'm going to click on the filter. So this is a chart level parameter, a chart level filter. And then let's see maybe like stage name. Stage name is basically this one. It's like go through the sales process, starting from prospecting to close one. And then like I want to see the operator to be is in so that I can select multiple values from the parameters. And then usually like if you select from here, then you fix the number of the, whatever the parameter filter values, right? So like it doesn't matter the parameter, the end user will not be able to manipulate the data because I already fixed it. No. What I want to do is I want to use the parameters here. And then I have already created a stage parameter, so that's cool. But if I didn't have created, then in that case, you can click on this plus button. And then I'm going to create a new parameter from now, even though like I already have the stage, but I'm going to create, pretend like we didn't have. I create new parameter, and then this is like stage 2. And I can change the display name to be, this is stage for demo or something. And the data type character, that's fine. The input type, this is a list of values. I want to make it multi-select. And I can start typing those values if I know all of them and I know like they're not going to change. Or you can make the parameters to be dynamic. In that case, get values from data frame and then select the data frame, in this case, opportunity, because I want to get the number of those list of values from the same data frame that we are defining. But I don't want to bring those values from the last step because other parameter might already filtered out that case, some of the stage might not showing up. So I want to source that data value from the very, very beginning at the first step. So yeah, I can select it, which step I want to get the list of values. So the Salesforce data, that's the first step. And then I'm going to select where the stage name right here. And then this one is here. And sometimes the data frame has a different columns. One is for like kind of code or ID. The other one is more like display name type of the column. In that case, you can click on this check button to select another column for the display name. But in that case, that's fine. And then I've set this check button, this is by default, but what that means, if I don't select any default, and if the user don't select any values, that means it's considered as selecting all of the values, meaning showing all the stages in this particular case. So it looks good. So I'm going to click on the save button and then close it. And then like this filter dialog. Now from here, I should be able to select the one I just created, which is stage 2, and I click run button. And at this point, all those parameters have been selected. If I click on the parameter button on the right-hand side top, now I see only one parameter. Why I'm seeing only one parameter that I just created it is because this particular chart is pinned to the step 4, not step 5. Step 5 has a bunch of parameters. So any chart is pinned to step 5, I should see a bunch of parameters when I open the parameter pane. But this chart is pinned to the step before. That's why like there's no parameter showing up from the step 5. Instead, I'm seeing the parameter from this particular filter that is created for this chart. Does it make sense? So now here the stage 4 demo, if I click on it, I have all these one, right? I'm not going to select at this point. I just wanted to make sure the parameter is there because the main point here is that I have created a dashboard and I have already imported that particular chart that I parameterize, right? So now at this point, what happens if I click on the parameter button? And then I should see this parameter stage 4 demo automatically because that's the parameter exploratory needs to generate this chart. So now at this point, if let's say like, you know what, like I want to select, a couple of options, close one, qualification, and so on. I don't know. And then click run button. Now this particular chart will be impacted by the selection. I mean, this chart is showing only for these values. Okay, so now that's the parameters. And once you create the parameter, by the way, this parameter can be created for the node as well. So node and dashboard works the exact same way. And at this point, I can publish it. Then sales dashboard for demo. And then I can select this is a private mode, a public mode. I'm going to select it a private mode and then download option CSV. I'm going to check that so that the people I share with can download the data for this dashboard. And then I can publish myself as a team and click OK button. And once it's published, it will assign the unique URL. And then basically like I can open the web page here. This is the URL, or I can click on this open in browser button. And this is the dashboard that we have just created. So I have 2 pages, so 1 and 2, and also all the charts. And then right-hand side, there's a parameter sections created. So now at this point, if I click on this on use parameter to be on, now this parameter, this dashboard will start working as sort of like interactive mode. That means you can use the parameter to manipulate or update that data. Okay, so here it's connecting. No. Usually it should becomes interactive mode very quickly. Oh, there you go. So now it's interactive mode. So here, then I want to select, hey, you know what? I want to show all the stages. Then I'm going to remove all the parameters so that the basically becomes all. And then I want to see like opportunity type. I want to add another one, maybe like upgrade. And then click run button. So now this dashboard will start working as sort of like kind of interactive way. So what is happening is it goes through make sure the data wrangling step or filter for the chart, and then generate the latest chart here. Okay, so at this point, a couple things. So like you can invite others right? So by typing an email and then, or you can enable this URL so that you just share the URL to somebody, as long as that person has a URL, can open this dashboard. And then whoever that's shared, basically, this is like for the viewer, as long as you see this in a web browser, it's free. So you can create your teammates or friends can create an Exploratory account and then for free, and be able to open your dashboard or note or chart and so on. So the license is only for the Exploratory desktop, not for the viewer. Okay, so now at this point, and then the person who were invited can open this, not only use the parameters, but also download the data. For example, hey, you know what? Like I want to download this particular data, and then either download the chart image or export chart data, either way, and for each chart as well. Okay. Or other thing you can do is download the EDF. That means other person you invited, that person happened to have the exploratory, then they can download this EDF and import into their EDF to reproduce exactly the way that this dashboard is, dashboard and parameter and the data frames, whatever the things needed to produce dashboard can be reproduced in another exploratory desktop environment. Okay, and another thing is here the schedule button. And then this particular dashboard is sourcing from the Salesforce, or if it's sourcing from a database or maybe the Google Drive or something like that, as long as it's Exploratory Server can access it, then you can set the schedule. Let's say like every 6 o'clock in the morning and so on. Okay, so that's the parameter side of things, and also share and publish side of things. Okay, yeah, it is. And then this one is, so parameter is like, I quickly touched on, but if you can go to our how-to page, like go to exporty.io under the learn, there's a how-to bracket tutorials. And then if you type on the parameters, and then I have done a parameter seminar before, so you can see more details. Same thing for the dashboard and then other types of things I quickly touched on today. I have done the seminar in the past, so you can see those as well. Okay, and if that's basically pretty much it. That's it for today.